All right, what about now? Can you hear anything as we test the live stream? What about now? Switched scenes. Should be live right now. Should be able to hear me. I hope, at least. Wonder if I can double check on my end without causing a nasty loop. Yes, I think it is coming through. Okay, cool. Awesome. I know it's coming through on Twitch. Let me see if it's on YouTube. Okay, I think it is. If you're able to type on YouTube, can you type in the chat there, see if I see it come through? I have no idea where that's gonna go up at. How does that work? Okay, I can scroll down. Okay, works here too. Okay, cool. I can see you there. All right. And then it doesn't give me a... Have you followed my YouTube yet? This channel specifically? See what the delay is too. I wonder what the delay is. Guessing at least like 10 seconds or something. On your right. What? Oh, you can only hear on the right side? Is that what you're saying? I wonder if it should be mono. Okay, awesome. If you wouldn't mind, could you subscribe? You can unsubscribe right away if you want, but I just want to see if it actually gives me an alert. It should give me an alert that something happened on YouTube. But I'm not quite sure because I know most of the Streamlabs stuff works on Twitch, but I'm not sure about YouTube integration. And if it doesn't work, then whatever. Oh, the chat box is on the right. Yeah. So when you go live stream on YouTube, it actually, at least maybe because I have half my screen split for Twitch and YouTube, it puts the chat down below, so I had to scroll down. It's usually on the right. So you're right. I was looking for it on the right, couldn't find it. Confused me. What's this heart icon? Oh, it literally just puts a heart. Okay. And I don't see that reflected anywhere except for in the chat. Okay, so that's all interesting. So it looks like interaction between Twitch happens, but any interaction on YouTube is not integrated. Weird. Unless the subscribe shows up. I don't know. Not sure if that worked, but I just subbed with the other account, and now this one. Yeah, it didn't show me anything. I didn't see anything. And then see my Streamlab events. Doesn't show a darn thing. Maybe it's some other thing I have to configure? Interesting. Well, I'm going to have to figure that out. I wonder if any of them are working. Hold on. Where is... No, there's a whole panel for it. Where did it go? There it is. I think I can test interactions through here. I think. Test events. Streamlabs. Nope. Twitch. Okay. If I hit follow. Oh, and it has a sound too. Did you hear that sound where it... Boom? I heard it, but I don't know if that gets passed through. when the follow came up. And then if I do YouTube subscriber, yeah, that's supposed to come up, but I didn't see anything when it happened. And I don't even see that reflected in like a chat message or anything on the main control panel for the streaming software. Ugh. Okay, taking the puppies out. All right, interesting. Okay. Well, wait until she gets back. I guess I could explain what the heck this is, even though there's nobody in it right now. It doesn't matter. This is a test stream. We're going to see how it goes. Later, I guess we'll put it up as a VOD. I think I may be able to edit it down on YouTube, or maybe I'll just leave it raw. I don't know. I don't know what the best way to go about it is. We'll see. We're going to experiment, and that's what this is all about. So my plan is to do this stream on a scheduled basis. I think I'm going to use Wednesdays as one of the definite days that I definitely want to stream. Exactly what time, I'm not sure. Going to have to figure that out. But I'm thinking about theming it maybe like Whiskey Wednesdays or something. I don't know. But definitely on Wednesdays, I think, is what I'm going to do. And then maybe another day throughout the week. We'll see. Maybe I'll do 2 days a week to start with, 1 day a week. I'm not sure. We'll see how this goes. And I'm thinking about, like I am right now, trying to kind of multicast it, multi-stream it to different places. So one on Twitch and one on YouTube. And then I'm thinking about maybe throwing it up on Instagram if I can, and eventually TikTok. TikTok, I had to fill out an application to be live. And people have said you need a certain amount of followers for that to be enabled, which I just created a TikTok account. So that's probably not going to happen anytime soon. But I'm working on that. Maybe if I can build up one channel or another, I can then kind of go live on TikTok as well. But I need to start, I guess, posting shorts and stuff to TikTok to kind of push that stuff up there. So if you're watching this and, you're want to be a supporter, you can check me out on YouTube at 456 and all the other places. I should be the same. It's actually 456 Studios on YouTube. Should probably change that so everything kind of lines up. But Hearthside Gaming. I'm lurking around, just lurking at the moment. Oh, hey, how's it going, Hearthside Gaming? Yeah, just figuring this out. Today I'm just kind of trying to troubleshoot with some friends and see if all the sound and stuff works. Kind of waiting on some graphics that I commissioned to come in to start it all up, so it's all official and all that kind of stuff. You're probably lurking and not even listening to this, but I appreciate the lurk. Thank you. But yeah, this is just a setup stream, and I'll probably do some narration just to test out the booth and make sure that's working, and then go from there. Maybe we'll edit some audio dramas stuff tonight to make sure that the desktop software is working and all that kind of sound is coming through to you all, because that's something I might want to throw in as well, is editing audio drama stuff, or at least the voice acting portions to that, and auditions and those type of things. So we'll see how it goes. I want to test all this kind of stuff out. So today is going to be kind of a bonus behind the scenes stream, and everything's probably going to change anyways. But I want to make sure that I know how everything works before we actually start on an official schedule. So what is the stream, though? The primary purpose, I think, for this stream is going to be everything narration and voice acting. And I want to dedicate at least one stream, if I can, to helping authors and writers and creatives get their stuff out in front of different audiences, right? Share audiences, have all of their work exposed to different audiences, and kind of go from there, right? So I put out some feelers on social media to different authors and writers, and even an illustrator, and I'll be showcasing her work here when I get everything set up on the channel. She does fantastic work. But I reached out to those authors, and basically it goes like this. I read your first chapter if it's a novel, or I read your short story or part of your short story if you don't want the whole thing done. and that's totally for free. I just want to help kind of spread your work out to a different audience. And I think this would be kind of a cool, fun way to do it. Show the, professional side of narration and voice acting, while at the same time exposing everybody to some really cool stories and other creative work throughout the community that you might not be exposed to normally, right? And hopefully I'm not boring as shit and it's entertaining, but we'll see, right? We'll have to see. But yeah, I think that'll be cool. Kind of get some stuff out there, some short story stuff, show some voice acting stuff. If you're an aspiring voice actor, or you've thought about maybe getting into it, or you just want to know what goes into it, here you go. Here's a place that you could find it. So, anyways, that's the vision. Are you back? Oh, it looks like you might be. Had to, but it looks like it's working. Had to bug out, but it looks like it's working to me. Okay. Okay, cool. Awesome. I'm listening and doing some stuff on the side, so it might be slow to respond. I'm all right. Trying to shake a headache, but it's not too bad. Oh, that sucks. Sorry about that. Well, hopefully I don't do anything to exacerbate that problem. So, all right. Well, let's get into testing all these different things and functionalities. Have to get used to this OBS software. I used it a long time ago when I first was experimenting with streaming. I had a company back in the day that failed miserably, but I learned a lot of things and we did a lot of interesting projects. And the company was based around producing podcasts for people, both audio and visual. And we were starting to dip our toes into streaming. We discovered a way. My day job and some of my partners in the company's day jobs are in IT. And we discovered a way to hook up a Linux server through Nginx, which is kind of, at least at the time, what was running a lot of the back-end Twitch algorithms and YouTube algorithms in terms of live streaming, that technology that it provides it. And we were able to figure out a way with scalable bandwidth to stream not only a single person's channel to Twitch or YouTube, but multiple people streaming off of one source to Twitch and YouTube. So right now, I think on Twitch, they have this thing where you can do like teams and, you can see multiple streamers getting together to like play a game or whatever, and it'll kind of pair their channels up. I don't know if they actually overlay on top of each other. I don't think it does, but we discovered a way to make that. So we built a prototype and we were trying to introduce that, but it just never took off. We had some conversations with Twitch about their TOS and if that'd be allowed, and we never got answers, and it was a mess. But anyways, so I'm kind of familiar with Twitch and streaming, but this was years ago, so this is kind of going to be newish, right? It's like a returning to an old thing that you used to do. But all right, so I'm going to test this out. I think what I might do next is switch over to the booth where I have a webcam set up and my actual recording microphone that I use for audiobooks and voice acting. I'll do a short little read, make sure the audio is coming through and everything's working right, and then we'll kind of go from there. What concerns me, though, is that I'm staring at this Streamlabs event thing, and I don't see anything on here. Like, none of the test alerts came through either. So if somebody follows or whatever, I'm never going to know. That's not good. I need to get that working. So, oh well, we'll figure that out. All right. So I'm going to switch over to that. And, oh, I should actually pull up the stream on my phone so I can tell if people are typing, right? That'd be an idea, Oh, cool. So the artist that I'm going to be featuring her work on here, she does a lot of art for, well, in every category, but art for book covers is how I met her, on Threads, actually. It seems like the mass exodus from X or Twitter, whatever you want to call it, I guess X now. Everybody's going to kind of Threads, it seems, at least the creative bookie types that I'm trying to connect with and build a community around. And she does emotes for Twitch channels. So we might be in touch, get some commission work done from somebody in the community. Awesome. Cool. But let me pull up the Twitch channel and turn the volume off so I don't blast a loop thing. It does not come up with your own channel. How do I do that? Oh, profile. Okay, got it. Boom. Okay. Is there a way that I can just see a stream manager? Okay. Skip tutorial. Okay, and then I can see chat right on here. My session. Oh, sweet. Okay, cool. I can see it. Perfect. All right. Well, let's see if this transition works. Not that it really matters. We'll replace all of this anyway. But let's test out the booth. Here we go. And I got to switch the microphone over there. Almost forgot. Switch. Hopefully this works. Oh, you know what? I got to plug it in. Give me a second. Okay. Boom. And let's switch over to that mic, which I think is on this side. I got to set up like a button on the stream deck to do this. All right, here we go. You know what? I wonder what headset I should use. I hadn't thought about that either. Hmm. Yeah. All right. That's not awkward or anything. Okay. You know, the one thing I didn't think about was technically, if I'm recording, how I have my setup here in the booth is I have like an iPad in front of me with my copy on it, which I should probably turn on and log into. And usually I annotate if I'm doing like audiobooks. If it's like a short story, something short form like voice acting, I usually don't do that. Maybe I'll put the phone up here. Ah, this is good quality content, right? You get to see my arm. Hopefully you're hearing me. I don't know. Maybe I'll turn it on and for a second and see if I can hear myself. Can I do that? Yeah. No, I don't hear anything. Yeah, that's not good. I don't think I'm coming through. I wonder what it's picking up. Huh. I wonder. Oh, you know what? I had my volume all the way down. I'm special. Maybe it actually is coming through. Oh, you can hear. Okay, cool. Thank you, Hearthside Gaming. I appreciate that for letting me know. Okay, sweet. I don't have to blast you there. And then, hey, test worked. I can see chat, so I think I can read it just like this. Anyways, what the heck was I talking about? Oh, my setup. So if it's just like a short story or whatever, I don't usually mark anything up. Actually, I think I'm going to make a YouTube video on my YouTube channel here soon about how I prep, because I think I've learned a lot. I started professionally narrating since January of this year, at least long form narration. I've been doing voice acting since about 2015. But I've learned a ton since January about prepping, about just audiobooks in general and voice acting. And I've taken character acting classes and improv and all kinds of stuff to kind of perfect the craft, if you will. So maybe I'll go into that on a YouTube video later. So, if you're interested, maybe check that out. But, anyways, back to the setup. I'm all over the place. I got to like lock this down, right? When I get into actually streaming on a schedule, because otherwise people are going to be like, this guy's nuts, right? Anyways, so iPad here for the copy. I try not to use any paper copy and go completely digital because page turns are a biatch and you don't want that in your recording. And I like to do the least amount of editing possible. I'm actually recording, though, into an interface that's behind me that hooks up into a very low-powered laptop. It's just an old guy that I had that was laying around that I decided, you know what? It's a low-powered old laptop. The fan's not that loud, which is surprising because it's old. Um, and I'll just hook in my microphone into that, the interface into that, and I'll record out there so I can get all the fan noise out of this booth, right? No, I didn't mention what stream days are yet because I haven't quite figured that out. However, I think I am going to do a segment regularly, at least on Wednesdays, because I had this whole idea about doing Whiskey Wednesdays, and I pull up a whiskey and drink it and narrate, and I don't know. It was this weird idea. I don't know if it'll stick, but so I'm thinking at least Wednesdays, but I'm not quite sure yet on what other days I want to do it. I still need to plan that out, but when I do plan that out, I'll probably just pop up a quick video, and obviously I'll fill in my schedule on Twitch and YouTube if I can, so that people know what that is. But probably Wednesdays. I'm definitely going to do Wednesdays because I like the Whiskey Wednesday thing. And I think, well, that idea does stem from, so as part of, I'm getting coaching for being an audiobook narrator. That's one of the things that, people recommended. And from my experience in 2015 doing my first audiobook, which was absolutely horrible, I apologize that I did that to your book. I'm sorry. I didn't know, but I'm getting better. I realized I need some actual training from a guy or, a person, a guy in this case, that has been there, done that. So that's what I'm doing. As part of that, not only do I get kind of that narration training on how to do audiobook stuff and acting and all that kind of good stuff, he also goes into the marketing and branding of yourself, right? Because you're selling your voice. You're independent contractor, if you will, right? You're finding all your work, and how do you do that? And he goes through that whole business side and marketing side of it as well, which is kind of what attracted me to his course. Sean Pratt, who has done just thousands, literally, of audiobooks and is a master of the craft. Primarily, he's known for doing nonfiction, which is something I think I might want to jump into. I love nonfiction, especially like historical, military. Like I'm a huge World War II buff and ancient history buff. So if I could get into narrating some of those things, I would be in heaven, right, doing that. But anyway, so I'm using his courses. I'm going through his courses right now. I'm about 9 months into it. And as part of that marketing thing that I was talking about that he goes through, he gives you figure out what 3 words describe your voice and a little phrase. And you can use it or you can not use it, but I'm thinking about using it because, one, I'm paying this guy to tell me what works, right? He obviously knows what works. And my phrase is that describes my voice and my narration: a smooth whiskey with a hint of beardly wisdom. And so that's what I'm going with. That's why the Whiskey Wednesday thing. So to tell you an 80-hour story to explain a 10-second thing, there you go. Are you sad you asked at this point? But yeah, I'll figure out my schedule. I'm not quite sure. Definitely Wednesdays, and then maybe one more day during the week. We'll see. Maybe Friday. I don't know. We'll see. I'll have to figure that out with my wife's schedule too. She's a nurse, and she does like the whole 2 on, 5 off, 5 on, 2. So I'll have to wrap my head around that and make sure that, I'm not eating up the couple time. You know what I mean? It's important. It's important. Because if I don't pay attention to that, she'll kill me and there will be no streams. So there's that. But I'll get back to you on that, I promise, as I figure that out. And then, like I said, I should be getting in the stream kind of overlays and graphics that I commissioned here in a little bit. Super excited to see those, and I'll see if he's up to me showcasing his work on here as well. We'll see. Then we'll go from there. I think before I answered that question, I was talking about the setup. So to finish that off, I have the computer out there, got it out of the booth. I have just like another screen here. It's just a monitor and a little wireless keyboard and a little wireless mouse hooked up. And that's how I do everything. So I can kind of control my DAW here, my DAW, my digital audio workstation. That is the actual recording software I'm recording into. I can control it here just with a mouse on my leg and the keyboard to kind of do things, and then I can look forward and read my script here. And I just, since it's an iPad, it's touch sensitive, so I can just touch the screen, scroll up. That way I don't have to have another mouse in my other hand or something weird, which I did at one point, but you can hear the rollerball, and it just wasn't very efficient. And as long as I'm not wearing like, some, I don't know, weird clothing like parachute pants, it doesn't really cause a lot of noise when I move the screen up manually. Sounds like you're throwing some serious thought and effort behind getting something cool rolling. I'm trying to. We'll see how it goes. I'm excited about it. I think it's a pretty interesting concept, and the more that I think about it, in terms of like, would I want to listen to something like that? Heck yeah, I would. Because it's almost like listening in my mind, like listening to a podcast, but you get to interact, right, with the person that's actually doing it. Because there's tons of podcasts out there about audiobook narration and stuff like that. But if you're interested vaguely, but you're not quite interested, you know what I mean? Would you listen to that? Probably not, right? Would you jump on a live stream of somebody, doing the work at a professional level? Maybe, so you could see it, right? That sounds more interesting to me. And obviously, if I'm going to do the Twitch and the YouTube thing, especially the Twitch thing, you got to roll in some video game play in there somehow, right? But how do I relate that to it? Maybe we do, I don't know, GTA RP or Red Dead Redemption or something. I don't know. Maybe we'll throw something in there that we can kind of relate to voice acting. Maybe create a character on one of those games, and then we act through it. I don't know. Just brainstorming some ideas. If you have any ideas, let me know. I'm all ears to try to develop this idea and this concept. So we'll see. I also think maybe showcasing some audio dramas. How I got my start kind of in voice acting was doing audio dramas. And I still really like them. I don't do a lot of them anymore because I'm trying to turn more of my focus into doing audiobooks. And those are very time consuming. But I still think there's space in there somewhere that I could figure out a way to also showcase audio dramas. A lot of the community right now is all free, right? Like the voice actors volunteer their time, the producers volunteer their time. One of my friends, my good friends that was in here helping me set up the Twitch and YouTube, was she has a production company that she produces audio dramas, and that's what she does. And she's a voice actress as well, really good one, and does really good sheep noises. That's right. If you know, you know. So I think showcasing some of that stuff would be really cool too. Perform all parts for classic RPG like Final Fantasy VI. Oh, you know, that could be cool. Like kind of like a playthrough, but turn the camera off and act out each character like a one-man show. That that sounds actually pretty cool. Let me think about that one for a little bit. Let's develop that further. I like that idea. That could be really cool, and also really terrible, but it might be entertaining nevertheless. I don't know. I don't know. There's a certain crowd, including myself, that really loves cringy, awkward fails. I watch those videos on YouTube. Some of you that are gonna watch this eventually like that too. See you scrolling at night on YouTube, like, oh, fail video. That's my jam. That's my jam. Yeah, no, I like that idea. Perform all the parts for a classic RPG. Be good. And then you get the excuse to play the classic RPG again and get flooded with nostalgia, and we can have conversations about oh, I like this idea the more that I think about it. You're a planner there, Hearthside Gaming. You're a planner. I like it. I like it. Keep it coming. Yeah. Yeah. So the only thing I didn't think about in this setup, and something I'm going to have to mull over, is since I have the recording software here, and I do have it out into the main streaming machine so you can hear it, I won't be able to hear the software here and the edit. So that's going to be interesting. I'm going to have to figure out how to do that. Maybe just for the stream, I cut this part out. I'm gonna have to think about that, because if I record right now and then I hit playback on this machine that I'm using to record with, I'm not gonna hear it. I didn't think about that. We're gonna roll with it right now, because I'm gonna watch this kind of VOD later and make sure everything was kind of lining up. So maybe I'll read a little bit here to kind of test that out, switch back, and then maybe I'll take a little break here, and then come back and do some audio drama editing in Adobe Audition and kind of make sure that that's all working and everything. So maybe, or maybe we don't do the audio drama stuff and we just edit this, and I can throw an example of it. I don't know. We'll record it and we'll go from there. We'll see what hits me in the moment, right? So let me clear this stuff out. Let me set this up. I use Studio One to record into on this laptop. It's a little bit lighter weight than Adobe Audition. And I took a course on Studio One. It's one of those products that you can use the free version or you buy it once kind of thing, like Reaper does. Like every major update you'd have to pay for, but you don't necessarily have to. And since I took that course and I'm more kind of familiar with Studio One, that's what I use here, for recording at least. But I've been using Adobe products since I was in high school, since I was a kid. So I'm so used to it, it's going to be hard to switch to anything else in terms of being fast and efficient with Adobe Audition. And plus, it has some features in there that maybe we'll talk about later that a lot of other programs don't have, and they're super beneficial. And I don't know how people do stuff in editing without it, unless they're paying for some plugins that are just probably super expensive that come natively built into Adobe Audition. So I don't have to pay any more money, which is, I like that. So anyways, let me set this new recording up here. Let's do a quick little recording of this short story, which is actually going to be on a podcast. I do narration. This will show up on a horror podcast called The Other Stories. Check them out if you like short horror fiction. It's really good. I was a fan long before I became a narrator, and they had auditions. I tried out, and they're like, yes, let's do it. And I'm like, yes, I'm in, which is one of the most fantastic projects to ever work on, is something that you are a fan of, right? You get the opportunity to actually perform on something that you like. It's almost, the saying, if you do something you enjoy, you'll never work another day in your life. That Confucianism, right? It's almost like that. It still work. There's nothing that's completely like, oh my God, yes, that's work. But it's fun. It is fun. It's way more fun than my day job. I'll put it that way. But this story will be on The Other Stories coming up here soon. It'll be story 99-2. So that'll be in a few weeks. How they do their stories is 99 1, 99 2, 99 3, 99 4, right? And they have a story that comes out every week. Sweet horror, a horror short story sounds good. Yeah, it's good. I might not read all the way through it, just to kind of cliffhang you a little bit, so you have maybe some incentive to go check it out. I don't know. But we'll at least get a little bit of it here. And we're going to try out some accents too. In this one, I'm going to try out a Scottish accent. I think I'm only going to use the Scottish accent in the actual form of this one for one of the characters. And the other one I might not, but I'm going to try for all the character lines in this one as a challenge to myself to use the Scottish accent, because I'm not that great at it and I need the practice. So 2 birds, 1 stone, right? All right, let's do this. We'll just do demo, right? We'll just throw it in here. It doesn't matter. And then we'll do a wisp as the name. We're going to do resolution of 32-bit float, which is advantageous because it gives you more headroom for peaking. So you don't stand a chance of peaking as much with 32-bit float. It's a bigger file size, but in the end, it saved me a couple of times where I didn't have to go back and record something because I didn't peak digitally, so which is good. If you peak analog, like into your mic and it distorts, you're screwed. You have to redo it. But 32-bit float for all you narrator voice actor guys out there. Try it. I promise. It's worth it. Make sure this works. Test, test, test. Yep, it does. Okay. So we're going to get into this short horror story, A Wisp on the Waves, written by Daniel Wilcox. He is one of the two co-founders of the other stories, a Hawk and Cleaver production company. And he's one of their writers. I don't get to read a lot of his stuff, which sucks because he's a really good writer. And there's other writers in there, but I really like Daniel Wilcox stuff. And anyways, we will get into it. Here we go. Let me hit record. Test, test. Okay, we're coming through. Always test. I've been there where you're 3 paragraphs in and you realize you didn't record anything. That sucks. Here we go. It was back again. The light shone in the distance, a few miles out from where the waves thrashed and foamed against the rocks. A bright coin in the distance that Harvey knew wouldn't last the night, would barely last the minute. Still, it set his nerves on fire. He stood in the spray, hands tight to the lighthouse balcony, observing the strange phenomenon. As the wind whipped across his leathery face, rustling his beard and pruning his nose, he watched. The skin grown tight as he peered through the gloom and counted the seconds. It didn't move, just lingered there like a lonely candle flame across a bed of black ocean and deep purple clouds and way out on the horizon. Larger tonight than the previous night, yet with no discernible vessel or attempt at against the turbulent tides. "What in the devil's name are ye?" Harvey whispered through gritted teeth. The light winked in response. Then it was gone. "Probably just a stray ship, Harv. In and out, turning itself around. It's not the strangest thing in the world for a liner to change course in view of the lighthouse. Isn't that your whole gamut? Stop the big boys from crashing and breaking at the island's edge?" Harvey leered at Jack, a thick dollop of foam coating his mustache. 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 Let's try that again. Oh, here's the problem, though. I can't hear where I need to pick up. You know what? I'll put on 2 headphones for this, and we'll do it that way. I'll just right ear, left ear it or something. Here we go. All right, back. Cramp booth. All right. This is janky, but, better to figure this stuff out now than later, right? All right, cool. Let's do this here, maybe? I don't know. All right. Oh, you know what? You guys aren't going to be able to hear the playback either. Oh, yeah, I got to figure out another way to do this. Okay. Okay. Noted. You can hear me narrate it, but you're not going to hear the playback from here, which, not the best. Okay, got to figure this out. Okay, a thick dollop of foam is where we left off. All right, here we go. A thick dollop of foam coating his mustache. Jack gripped his beard tightly, waiting for Harvey's response. Around them, a gentle chatter accompanied the fire-warmed tavern. "This ain't the first night," he growled at Jack. "It's been every night for the last week. That's not a coincidence. It's the same thing." "Same ship?" Jack asked. The barman strode past, eager to serve the last customer to the counter. Harvey kept his gaze fixed on his oldest and only friend in the local town. Living 3 miles out from the lighthouse, he didn't get out much. He had learned to appreciate his own company. Had it not been for Jack's occasional visits to his ivory and crimson tower, Jack might as well have been a ghost. Harvey nodded, knowing how ludicrous it sounded. "Same ship. I think he growled. "Same ship." Forgot we were doing Scottish. Kind of fell apart there. So let's go back and try that again. Same ship, right? There we go. Usually, to get myself into an accent when I fall out of it like that, I try to capture a phrase when I'm learning how to do the accent or dialect that brings me back into it. So for Scottish, I try to use wordled and girdle to get that kind of, what's the right word? It's not guttural, but it's, is that the right term? Anyways, that sound that they use for some of their consonants. Um, but here we go. World, same ship. Here we go. Same ship, I think. He growled. Same ship. Jack's eyebrows knit together in concern. What? Harvey asked roughly. I just worry about you, Jack replied. Out there, by yourself. Worry, it goes to your head. Being alone all that time, it can do things to a man. Harvey's cheeks flushed, his body grown too warm. He gripped his beer, drained the final stale dregs, then threw 5 pounds onto the counter. Thanks for your concern. Say hi to Leslie for me. Harvey exited. Exited. Gotta love that, right? Harvey exited into the cold night, unaware of the dozens. Boop, boop. That's not a plural word. Let's try it again. Here we go. Harvey exited. Harvey? Let's try that again. Harvey exited into the cold night, unaware of the dozen pair of eyes and patrons. I can't get this sentence down. Let's try it again. Harvey exited into the cold night, unaware of the dozen pair of eyes and patrons watching the strange lighthouse keeper with curiosity. I stumbled through that again. Let's try it again. Harvey exited into the cold night, unaware of the dozen pair of eyes of patrons watching the strange lighthouse keeper with curiosity. If I can get this last part right, that would be great. Let's try it again. Harvey exited into the cold night, unaware of the dozen pair of eyes of patrons watching the strange lighthouse keeper with curiosity. It was back again the next night. That lonely light. A bright beam of something. All right, that should be good for a test. We can use that to edit with, or I don't know, maybe go into the audio drama. We'll see and do some multi-track editing. Let's save this guy and export it from Studio One. Studio One. Export everything. All right. Let's put it in a folder where we're going to be able to find it in a minute. That's important. File structure. Things. Okay. And this was called a wisp. All right. What I think I might do too, while this is compiling here, is maybe like when I take breaks and stuff, I'll play episodes from like the podcast where I'm doing some narrations, or maybe other, other works that I have permission to share. That's a big thing, is permission-wise, right? One thing that I'm making sure to pay attention to, because I don't want to step on anybody's toes, and I don't want to, take work away from people, especially other voice actors. That's not what I'm in it for. So any kind of chapters of books that I read or short stories, they cannot be in an existing work of like an audiobook form. I'm not doing that. So that's like my only rule, right? And I think too, I'm gonna have to look up kind of terms of service of YouTube and Twitch and Instagram and all that I'm kind of multicasting to what their rules are. Because like, let's say I get a romance chapter or something to narrate. There might be certain things on those platforms I can't say, so I need to look that up. I think like on TikTok and I think YouTube, although I have to look it up, there's a certain thing with the alternate way to say unalive that you can't say, but I'm gonna have to look that up because I've heard that a lot. People, instead of using that particular word, say unalive. So I don't know. Apparently there's some rules I need to learn, so I need to look all that stuff up. So that'll be interesting. All right, so that mixed down and it's saved. I'm going to jump back over into the other, make sure that that popped up, and then maybe take a quick little break, probably after, blabbing at the mouth here for the next 20 minutes, because that seems like what I'm going to do tonight. But let's switch over there and see if we can get that all to work with the switchback. So wish me luck. If you're still here, thank you. You're crazy if you're still here in my mind. All right, here we go. I take this. All right. Double headset. All right, that should be back to this microphone, and let's switch back to the other scene. That one. Boom. You know what I thought of too is just now is I probably want to put up when I'm in the booth let me switch back there. Did I do a placeholder for that even on this one? No, I didn't. I probably want to have a place to show you the copy that I'm reading, right? Because then you could see what or does that matter? I don't know. Would you want to see what I'm reading? Or do you want to just hear it, right? I don't know. I guess if I'm doing a narration thing and I mess up a word, you can see the word that I messed up, right? I guess there would be some value to that. I don't have to think about that. Kind of watch this back and see if I'm like losing something as a result. But anyways, let's fire up Adobe Audition. Okay, I think, yeah, that looks like it's working. Okay, cool, 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 I think. What is that doing? Oh, I can see the chat over here. Cool. All right, awesome. How do I tell? Is there a way you can tell who is like in your channel? Like that seems like something that would be cool to be able to see. And I don't. What's this? Oh, users in chat. Oh yeah, I can. Oh, cool. Okay, I figured that out. And then I click on it again. Yep, and it brings back the chat. Interesting. Okay. Okay, so the broadcaster, then Harside Gaming. Okay, you're still here. Hi. Good to know. All right. Sorry, this is probably super weird and awkward to watch as I'm trying to figure this stuff out. But thank you. Thank you for helping me, by the way. Okay, so let's open up that thing and make sure that the audio comes through and you can hear it. You didn't see that. That's a project I can't talk about. Okay. All right. And I think, all right. Let me make sure. Let's run a quick voice denoise. Actually, I should just play it. What am I doing? I'm like in the zone of like run my process. Don't need to do that. All right. Let's just play it and see if we can hear it. I can hear it. Oh, it's real quick. I can't tell. All right. I think YouTube has a more significant delay, so let's try that. It's like a promising. Oh, wow. YouTube is really far behind. It does. Oh. Is he going to figure it out? Da-da-da. It's a... Did I play it or did I not? Damn it. No, I can't tell. I'll just play it for a while. Okay, let's see if it does it. No, you cannot hear it. Interesting. Okay. Why is that not working? Okay, when I play it, do I see it pop up here? I do. Why would you not be able to hear it export? I wonder if this is sending it somewhere else. Maybe that's why. Let me see. Within Adobe Audition itself. Let's see here. Audio, hardware setup. Okay, that's fine. And virtual audio cable. Okay, which is what this should be here. Advanced audio properties. Okay, it doesn't really say. It just says audio output capture. I wonder if that's a source, though, in the, yes, audio source. Virtual cable. Okay. You should be hearing it. Why? Yeah, you should be hearing playback, Hearthside Gaming, but you don't. That's weird. Why is that? Because it looks like I'm getting like the meter that you should be able to. But you don't. You can hear me, though. And then it, let me see. I wonder if we can hear this. I'm going to play something on Spotify that should also come through here. It's playing right now, and it's very loud. Okay, can we hear that? He's going to pull up Spotify. Should. Nope. Okay. So it's not just Adobe Audition. It's none of the desktop audio is coming through. Yeah, you're not hearing it either. Okay, so it's not just me. It's literally not coming through. I do see it on the audio mixer, though. So why would it not be coming through? Oh, man. Okay, well, this is good. This is good. I got to figure this stuff out before we, do it. Wait, audio virtual cable. That's right, because that's what I have in voice meter potato is cable output VB virtual audio cable. That's what it is. And then A and B would be Discord hardware input, which I don't even have out. Okay, so that should be good. So when I hit play, we should see this bounce right here. So, okay, so it's coming through appropriately. We know that's working. I can hear it, which means it's coming through the system. The device that it says here, growing pains are necessary. Yeah. I want to get them all figured out, though. What if I go, because this should be the default, right? What if I switch it to default instead of selecting the actual device? Worth a try? Okay, let's try this. See if you hear it this time. Okay, I should be playing. Face blindness. All right, let's see here. Do we hear that? Did you set the default audio output device in OBS? Maybe that's it. It's not. Guy from the past. All right. Let's look into that. Maybe it's in my settings, defaults. Let's see here. Audio. Desktop audio disabled. But I have audio output capture. Is what. But maybe I do need to select something for that. Okay, let's try that. Let's go what it should be, which is the virtual cable. Okay. Oh, and that put another source in here, though. Interesting. Let's try that. No, only hearing it from your headphones. Okay, yeah. Okay. Yeah, you could hear the bleed through. All right, let's try this again. Here we go.
I didn't hit my head.
It's popping through.
You and I both know you aren't Harvey.
You aren't.
My driver's license says otherwise. I know my big brother.
Okay, did we hear that? All right, let's try this again. Here we go.
I didn't hit my head.
Ah, I heard it. Did you hear it? I heard it on YouTube. It come through on Twitch. It should. I mean, they're multicasting. Ah, that did it. Hey, virtual frickin' high five there, Hearthside Gaming. You figured it out. You're a genius. If you didn't know that, now you know. It was definitely in my settings output audio from OBS itself. Okay, cool. All right. And that was the other stories podcast. I might actually just bring that over here when I take a quick little break. So that it plays something from them. Oh, you know, it'd be cool. I should ask, because I don't think he'd have a problem with it, because it's the podcast, right? And I don't think he'd have a problem with me advertising it more. But I did this series, which was stupid fun. It's a little more. It has some vulgarities in it. So I'm not sure if I should play it or not. I don't know, because the average person might be turned off by that. Yeah, and then I don't know. I'll have to figure that out. Maybe there's a, because I've seen on some Twitch streams you can do like a, hey, just so you know, there might be more mature content on this stream. Because the last thing I want is like, 10-year-old coming into the stream or something and being like, not that they probably haven't heard it before by 10, but you know what I mean? Like, I just don't want to be the problem, part of the problem. So I'll have to think about that. But there is, back to what I was talking about, this series that I did that was so well produced by the other stories. They did excellent sound production to it, and they had music written for it, and it's a sci-fi alternative reality Western. So it's set kind of in Western times, but you follow two characters. It's kind of a first-person narration of a story. It's almost like an audio version of a comic book, if you will, is kind of the style that I think it is more close to. But it's done in the vernacular of this cowboy, really. And he meets up with this guy named Swift Bear, this Native American gentleman, and they start battling monsters and eventually drop into an alternative universe and start. Anyways, I won't spoil it in case you want to look it up, but it was incredibly fun to do. I got to put on the Western accent, and the story is just great. It's nice and gritty and raw, and the production value alone is amazing. Maybe I'll play a little bit of it, and it should be okay. I think it should be okay. Maybe I'll play a little bit of it when I go on a break here, and then I'll, if it's not allowed, I'll delete the VOD. There you go. And then that's how we'll handle it, I guess. But yeah, we'll go from there. So you could hear that. Let's make sure we can hear from the program. Should be able
Probably
to.
just a stray ship, Harv. In and out, turning itself around. It's not the stray.
If it's not allowed, I'll delete the VOD. There you go. And then that's how we'll handle it, I guess. But yeah, we'll go from there. So okay, you could hear that. Let's make sure we can hear. Yes, let's make sure. Program should be able
Probably
to.
just a
Yes.
stray ship, Harv.
Okay, cool. Awesome. Perfect. So then you can hear editing through it. So normally in my process of going through and cleaning up audio and getting it ready for production, what we'll do is we'll clean it first with just a simple pass from a suite of add-ons that I like to use called Isotope RX. Specifically, this is RX11, their newest version of it, unless they came out with another one here recently. Who knows? Seems like they come out with one every quarter now, right? Like that's a way to get you to spend your money with them is, come out with another version that you have to buy. But this is perfect. I don't need to upgrade unless there's some kind of major, massive improvement. So whatever, I'm staying with this one for a while. Hear me, RX? But I'll do a voice denoise because that kind of protects the vocal range. Male, female, doesn't matter. The whole vocal range from 500 to about 1,000, maybe 1,100 hertz. It protects that range and removes noise that is extraneous to those values from your recording. And it does a really nice, subtle job as long as you leave it on like lower values. If you get too aggressive with it, it'll do this thing where it makes you sound like you're talking out of a tin can or an old telephone, which, if that's the effect that you want and you're going for, perfect, buddy. That's how you do it. Crank that sucker up to max and you got an instant old school telephone, right? But we don't want to do that usually. So really light passes of voice denoise does a great job. They use Isotope RX11 in movie productions for their sound cleaning software. So if they use it and it's good enough for Hollywood, it's good enough for me, right? It's probably the best tool that I have used, and it's even better than the built-in Adobe Audition stuff. And Adobe Audition's known for their noise reduction algorithms that are built into the program. So, hey, kudos to them. And then I run a mouth declick. So I don't like hearing, and most people don't like hearing. And now that I mention it, you're going to hear it all the time. So I'm sorry. I don't like that sound that can happen when your mouth's just a little tacky, right? You've been talking for a long time. That's going to happen a lot. So I'll use a declicker. It goes through the mouth declicker, finds those little sounds, those annoying sounds, and removes them. You can actually have it play just the clicks. So if we pull up this thing right here, we can have it play output the clicks only. So this is the stuff that it's going to be removing, and we'll just preview it real quick and you'll hear all the things that it's going to take out. And it's pretty disgusting, actually. But here you go. Okay, I tortured you long enough. It's capturing a little bit of the audio though too, so we want to do like a transparent removal. Tone that back down a little bit so that we're not hearing the audio being removed as much, just the clicks. And let's preview that. Okay, cool. So we're not hearing a lot of my voice coming through it. We're just hearing the little clicky clicks that maybe you didn't hear before, but now you will. You're welcome. So then we can go ahead and run through this thing. I think the settings are right. It'll swipe through that whole file. When these get to be like an hour long for like an audiobook chapter or something, it can take a while to process, but this was just a short little clip, so not too bad. About a little over 3 minutes long, it looks like. So it did it pretty quick. And now that we've run that process and the declicker, we can get into kind of editing the rest. If there's any weird pauses that are too long, there'll probably be one in here. We can shorten that up a little bit. If there's a weird breath noise that's way too loud, we can kind of drop that down or eliminate it, depending. When you're doing a lot of these things, you don't want to eliminate all the breath noise, because what happens is, as humans, I don't know if you knew this, we breathe. So if you cut out all the breath noises, what happens subconsciously to the listener sometimes is they're sympathetic to it, and they start holding their breath while you're narrating because you haven't breathed. They haven't heard that noise that they're expecting. So you need some breath noises in there because there's certain people that are sensitive to that, right? And we want to make sure that as many people enjoy the audio experience as possible. So if you're one of those, you're going to need the audio cue to not hold your breath, right? But we don't want those breaths so loud that they're distracting, right? Almost, like if they're there and you don't even really notice them, great. When you have a huge catch breath, you'll notice that. Sometimes it's okay, sometimes it's not, and it's really situation dependent, right? If it flows naturally and you don't even really notice it was there, great. If it's in dialogue and it's important to the dialogue, leave it. That's why you don't want to necessarily do things like using an expander, right? Or a limiter gate, really the gate function, not really the limiter, but you don't want to use a gate aggressively and you don't want to use an expander aggressively to eliminate all breath noises, because you start getting, even with like a nice roll off setting, you start getting a clipped sound where you can really tell that the end of the word was cut off. And then it starts recording suddenly again, where it's like, all of a sudden the noise is back. Like it leads to this jumpy sounding audio, almost like if you've ever heard really, really compressed music where it sounds like it's pulsing, right? It's almost like that, but with silence to all of a sudden sound, silent sound, silent sound. And it's really jarring and cutting. So you don't want to do that. And if at a future date you want an example of me doing that, I can literally do it and show you how it sounds. But I'm probably the only one geeking out and nerding out about this stuff at the moment. But so what we'll do is we'll go through normally and we'll listen. We'll lower down some breath noises, eliminate any awkward pauses, and then we'll kind of just do our final process. Really, with the recording studio setup that I have, it's usually pretty good about noise. It's usually one pass, maybe two, depending. Air conditioner kicks on or something, I might have to do an extra pass of noise reduction just to make sure you don't hear the hum. But then I just kind of raise the volume to a negative 3 dB and go from there. And then it depends on how I produce it, on what the platform wants. Like if I'm releasing an audiobook to Audible, to ACX, then they have certain criteria that you must meet. If it's for a voice acting line, the director of that project, the producer of the project, might have specific criteria. So you'll move the file out and make it conform to those specific parameters. But anyways, let's give a listen. We'll edit for a little bit, just give you a flavor of it and make sure that everything later on the VOD looks like it's doing what it's supposed to do. And we'll go from
It was
there.
back again. The light shone in the distance, a few miles out from where the waves thrashed and foamed against the rocks. A bright coin in the distance that Harvey knew wouldn't last the night, would barely last the minute. Still, it set his
Breath was a little weird. I don't know why I took a catch breath there, so let's reduce
knew
that.
wouldn't last the night, would barely last the minute. Still, it set his nerves on fire.
You don't have to, but right here you can tell in the waveform, and you just heard that there's a little catch breath before the sentence. Sometimes I'll leave those in. Most of the time, though, I'll nuke them because it sounds better without it.
Set his nerves on fire. He stood in the spray, hands tight to the lighthouse balcony, observing the strange phenomenon. As the wind whipped across his leathery face, rustling his beard and pruning his nose.
What's funny is after doing this for a while, you can start to tell what is you talking and what is a breath. Like I can instantly look at it and go, that's a breath. And I can tell, obviously, this is a breath in between words, right? And then we can listen to this. It's a P sound, actually, which are close. What's another one? Oh, right here. Yeah, you can tell all of these are breaths. That's a loud one right here. We just take those down, right? Sounds so weird on repeat.
Change course in view of the lighthouse. Isn't that your whole gamut?
And then okay, so sometimes when you are recording and you have a mild compression setting on, which I do, in this particular case on the booth, it can chop your breath sound in half towards the latter half of the breath sound, and it leads to this weird like sound, which is stupid distracting. I don't know if it's just me or not, but I usually go through and I delete those. Now, sometimes deleting it out and altering the space makes the next word come too quickly. So instead of just nuking it, what I'll usually do is I'll take some space that's empty. So if we come to, let's say, here and listen to this. Nope, that's not going to work. So let's place a marker here. Marker 1, so we know where to come back to. We'll just go to the beginning, and we'll listen to this. Cool, that's silent. We'll copy it to our clipboard, come back to our marker, and we'll replace this little weird breathy sound that was clipped. Actually, we'll just replace the whole darn thing with that noise. It's about the same length, so I could just keep it like that, or I could shorten it if I wanted, but let's listen.
View of the lighthouse. Isn't that your whole gamut? Stop the big boys from crashing and breaking at the island's edge? Harvey leered at Jack.
I need to get more Scrooge McDuck with it. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Maybe I need to listen to some Scrooge McDuck and get that Scottish down. Because it's weird with like your voice acting, not necessarily as much, but with like audiobook stuff. I've tried to learn how to do the accent really thick and then pull it back. Because the big thing in an audiobook, really any voice acting stuff, but especially in an audiobook, is clarity and like readability, understandability, right? Can I understand what he just said? You could have the best Scottish accent in the world, but if nobody can understand you in the market it's released in, usually the United States is the biggest market, then what's the point, right? And most of the feedback that I've ever gotten on accents is it's too much. It's too thick. I can't understand it. Pull it back. And that's something that I'm still kind of working on is go full bore and then pull back, right? You can always go more, but if you start off pulled back a little bit and it's more understandable and it just gives you that flavor, that's usually enough. People go, oh, Scottish. And they don't even really look into it or listen really that closely from then on out. It's just, oh, that's Scottish. Unless you do something weird, right? Like you really like screw up the accent somehow and it just doesn't, that's not right. That's not how they say that. But other than that, if it's just got the flavor, the slight hint, usually that's good enough. And that's all you need. And most of the time, that's all you should do. Just give a little flavor of it. So, anyways, just listening to this
A
cringing.
thick dollop of foam coating his mustache. Jack gripped his beard tightly.
So they explain later on in this short story that they're actually in Cape Cod. So having someone with a Scottish accent would be kind of weird normally. But they also talk about invaders coming over and attacking, right? From presumably, I'm guessing, maybe from England, I'm guessing, maybe. So this story might actually take place during kind of revolutionary period. And in that case, there was a lot of immigration from the UK and a lot of Scotsmen that came over. And you had a lot of those there. In the dialogue, he actually says ye a lot, which would also lead me to believe that there's some kind of Irish-Scottish accent in there. So I went with Scottish because I want to work on that more and use it more. That's the only way you get better at it. But then the other person didn't really have any of those indicators. They did in some of the dialogue parts have some stuff that might be, oh, that could be kind of like a British accent. But I went with, I'm going to do kind of a generalized American and a Scottish to kind of pay honest homage to the writer in terms of the dialogue lines with ye in it, and then clear it up for the other, and then it makes sense when you hear, oh, this is Cape Cod, right? Because then no further explanation really goes on in the rest of the story about who they are and what time period it is. But just from some of the context clues, that's what I'm pulling out of it. I could reach out and ask the author, but in this particular case, this piece needed to get out right away, right? I've actually already recorded this one and sent it in. So I had basically the day to turn it around and get it out. So I didn't really have the luxury of time of ask the author and get it. So just did the best that I could with the material. If it turns out to be story breaking, they would have gotten back to me and said, hey, no, this guy's from the UK and you should redo it again. Or this guy's from Boston, actually, I need a Boston accent. And they would have let me know. But I think my guesses were right. So now it's off to the producers and they'll work their audio magic on it and they'll drop in some music and do a whole fully produced thing. It's interesting. Most of the time, I don't go back and listen to my own work. It's a little weird listening to yourself talk, right? But sometimes I'll go back, like with the stories um, that they produced. Swift Bear and Laxon is that cowboy monster drama that I was talking about, short story horror drama I was talking about, and that one was so well produced. I had to go back and listen to it, and I loved it, every part of it. Tore my own acting parts of it apart because that's what I do. It's probably what every voice actor does, but God, it was so well produced. I enjoyed every second of it. So I want to listen to it again. So maybe I'll play it a little bit here. But, anyways, that should be enough for the VOD. I think I have enough to see if the program looks like it's working, if it's viewable. It's kind of, I don't know, maybe I need to turn off my webcam too when I do this because I wonder if that interferes a little bit with what you're able to see or if that even really matters. Or maybe I push it up kind of more over here to the corner. Oh, I know what I need to test. Do I have... No, I didn't. Oh, okay. So I discovered this cool thing the other day because I was looking through plugins while setting this up offline. Um, and then I did a little like short test online just to see if it worked. But I need to, there's a whole setup that I need to do, and I didn't do it, where you can draw on your screen. Like, so I could click on my screen and draw a circle, like if you're watching like a football game and they're doing the whole drawing on the screen or whatever, there's a plugin that'll let you do that. I need to hook that up because I'm pretty sure I'm going to use that a ton. I'm just drawing on the screen and showing you what I'm talking about. Can I do it without it? Without doing the capture? What capture without the capture? I don't know. One way to find out, I guess. Apps. Nope. Oh, what was it called? That's the thing. It should be running though. And it's not. That's also odd because I thought I had it start on startup. Maybe I decided against it. Is this it? No, that's Second Opinion. Great app, by the way, if you're going to submit stuff to Audible through ACX. It checks and makes sure that your audio file meets criteria. What was it called? Oh man, I don't want to take up too much time and look for it if I can't find it right away. No, not cursor lock. I need to go through and delete some stuff. Pretty sure everybody has that on their computer at this point, right? If you've had your computer for a little while, all the stuff that you manage to accumulate over time and you never delete it and it just stays on here until you're like, I need to install a video game and you're out of space. Although I don't know. Storage space seems to be pretty unlimited. What was that program called? Oh man, that's going to kill me. Well, I'll have it figured out by next time. I need to look for that though. Figure out what it is. Make myself a shortcut so when I inevitably forget the name again, I don't have to do this whole mess again. What was it called? That sucks. Well, whatever. Doesn't matter. It was cool though. I'll have to see if that works because I might use it. Maybe push my camera up over here. Oh yeah, and look, my webcam's even on top of where the mouse is because it's on the topmost layer, which makes sense. Yeah, if it's there, you wouldn't need to see the mouse over the top of it anyways. I'm retarded. Need to think about that one, but maybe I'll push it over here a little bit. I'm getting more graphics. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Or different graphics, I guess you should say. Okay, so I'm going to test out now it should work if I go to the Be Right Back screen and I enable desktop audio. I think it should be enabled by default now. And then you should be able to hear the podcast. So let's see if we can find that right quick. This is the other stories, their podcast here. Swift Bear and Laxon. Does this search inside of it? No. Swift Bear and Laxon. No. Oh, there it is. Perfect. The meat field. Oh, this is episode 2. Let's see if we can see all. Can we do that? Swift, Bear, and Laxon. I just saw one. Did you see it pop up there for a second? .4, 1.1. Boss Danon's boss. There we go. There's the first episode of it. Okay. So let me switch over to the break thing. I'm going to go talk to the whiff. And then I'll be back in a minute. And we'll go from there. And I might just end the stream after that. That was a good test. Thanks again, Hearthside. And here we go. So let's switch over to that. And I'll be back in like 5 minutes.
The episode illustration was provided by Luke.
Had 2 rule abominations. I found that out later. This here
Gigabytes.
Have you ever noticed that podcasts are a little like membership? Think ad-free, a week early, and higher quality audio and merch, and empowered patrons, and the many multi-dimensional.
Hey, true crime fans! Download the Amazon Music.
Text and data a month forever.
As your mother told you.
Important to us at The Other Stories to approach every story with sensitivity and respect for all cultures and backgrounds. This episode contains historical language and references that are considered offensive, including outdated terms for Native American individuals. Listener discretion is advised.
The Other Stories proudly presents Swift Bear and Laxon, Chapter 1, Boss Danon's Boss, written by Richard Reynolds and narrated by Justin Fife.
they called him Swift Bear. His own people turned their back on him account of his being some kind of freak of nature. Faster than any horse born and about the strongest son bitch I ever seen. Prone to visions of his heathen bear god, putting him on track of unnatural abominations. I found that out later. This here's the story of how him and me, the wretched son of a preacher, good for nothing but pulling a pistol, become sort of partners, roaming the land, hunting creatures from Satan's own asshole. I go by Laxon, Mock Laxon. My pa tried to bring me up good, teach me the Lord's word, but I weren't never interested in nothing but guns, hunting, fighting, and chasing strange. First chance I got, I blew tan, selling my gun hand to whoever was buying. Over the years, I traveled all over, picking up bad habits of speech and behavior, doing a lot of bad things for a lot of bad men, but none so ruthless as Boss Danon. You heard about Danon's tie before. Cattle baron owned more land you could ride across in 2 days, had the law in his pocket and a town to call his own. Sweetwater. Ran with an iron hand. But Danon took it further. He had a kind of smaller town set up for his workers away down the Seto, the river he built his operation around. Most workers being cowboys, but a handful, like me, took up special duties. We was run by Danon's personal guard, fellas named Davis and O'Shannon. Big, mean son of bitches. Resided with the boss in a house further down the Seto still. Danon had 2 rules regarding his land. He didn't tolerate free grazing, and anyone traveling through there were to secure written permission from the boss himself. My job was to watch over a stretch. If and I come across free grazers, was to shoot 'em on sight, bring their bodies and herds on back. Running into travelers, I was to escort them to Danon's to secure permission, by force if warranted. Thing was, I'd begun wondering what was really befalling them folk. Never seen a one emerge from Dannon's place. Could have been my advancing years or my sins weighing heavy, but my conscience started getting the better of me. I was taking a 2-caravan party to the boss when I first caught sight of Swift Bear. He was at yon bank of the Seto, kinda sniffing at the water before dunking his whole head in. "You speak American, you heathen shit!" I shouted, over the sound of the river that separated us as he resurfaced. He stared me down. "Well, I ain't chasing you, so head on due east and take your godless whatever you're doing off Boss Dannon's property." He didn't move none, so I pulled my Colt Dragoons and shot holes by his feet. He inspected the river a while longer before moving on. "That's right, get!" I said to his back. Delivering the travelers to Dannon at the house, the boss presented a sort of whimsy he only displayed in the presence of children, which the party had two of. "You done a fine job, Lexon," he said, leading me away. "Go on and get you some dinner." I headed off, but needing to know what was going on with them travelers, secreted myself behind a barn. I couldn't hear none, but saw Dannon cooing over a young girl, pulling her by the hand to his house. She tried to pull away, but he didn't relent, so a man I assumed was her daddy started kicking up a fuss that was met with the butt of O'Shannon's rifle, knocking him out cold. Women started screaming, and two men made a move, one backing off when Davis pulled his pistol, the other and getting gut shot. "Down on your knees!" Davis yelled, and all but a feisty woman complied. I couldn't make out what she screeched, but Davis laughed, whereupon the vicious cocksucker hit her no different than she was a man. She was on the ground, half senseless, when Davis dropped, unbuttoned his pants, and unsheathed his other weapon. The men started to rise, but O'Shannon trained his firearms, causing them to wilt under their own shame. I done the kind of dog shit things in my time that'll stain your soul black. But hand on heart, I ain't never molested no woman nor child, and I can hardly stand to tolerate it. So, it was about here when my conscience done put its foot down and decided enough was enough. I pulled both my Colts and fired a warning while advancing on Davis and O'Shannon. "Put your Johnson back in your britches," I hollered, drawing close to the party, without a damn idea what to do next. But another shot rang out, robbing me of the need. Dumb asshole I am, I turned to see Dannon in his doorway, then realizing my foolishness, turned back to receive O'Shannon's rifle butt in my face. I came to, tied to a tree with some other guy.
That's right, he did. He came to, things happened, and eventually the episode ended, and it moved on. But that was a little bit of the episode I was talking about, the series actually of Swift Bear and Laxon. We did the first, I want to say 3 or 4 that were released, and I think there's 20 something altogether, something like that. But we released the first half of the first season, and we were supposed to do the rest. I don't know when we're actually going to get back to doing the rest of them, but love this project, want to jump back into it. Just need to hit up a moment when the author has time. I'm not sure if he finished writing them all. I think he did. And maybe they just need to be recorded. I know they were going through like some kind of edits and stuff like that to polish it up to kind of the same caliber. Very fun. You're right. It's well produced, flows really well. Thank you so much. Yeah, it's it's really good. Most of the episodes on the other stories are really well produced, and really well narrated. Bunch of great, talented narrators. I'm not the only one. There's tons of narrators on there, all super talented, and the writing staff is growing too. They do this thing where if you're a writer, you can submit your story to them. They do like a themed months. So like 1 month may be sci-fi, another month might be I don't know, natural disasters, and everybody writes a horror story, a short story about that. They submit them, and if they're approved, they get narrated and produced and put on the show. And super fun kind of way to involve a whole bunch of writers and get their work out there and stuff, and narrators too, right? Although the narrators are kind of set. Only kind of the authors rotate in and out kind of frequently. Although some new narrators have joined the team here recently. But this one in particular, this series in particular, they do specials every now and then. This one was super well produced, like custom music and all kinds of stuff that you kind of heard a little bit of. We're working on right now, which I need to get on because it's due here soon, 2 weeks. The second episode of it, they're doing a Halloween special because it's a horror podcast, right? So Halloween's a big time for the podcast. So they're putting out another special. They're working on another special. I need to get my lines in for it so that they can. It's a really interesting concept. I don't know how much of it I'm supposed to be talking about, so I'm not going to say much other than it's a special and it's coming out on Halloween. They do one every year, but I think the story is really unique and fun this time too. It's interesting, and I get to play a character that is a little disgruntled, which is one of my favorites. If I can be the bad guy or the crotchety old man, I love playing it because it's so counter to what I am, right? I would like to think I'm a pretty nice dude. But if I get to play the bad guy and the person that you love to hate, I'm in. I still do a character voice for Pendant Audio. There's a show called The Kingery. It's a space sci-fi audio drama, and I am the dad of one of the main characters, and simply put, he's an asshole. But he has some redeeming qualities. But I love playing him. He is a bad guy. Don't get it confused. He is not a nice guy. He tries to make you think he is, but he's not, and I love playing it. So check that out. Maybe they have a ton of pretty good shows too, audio dramas. They were running like 7 or 8 of them at the same time. I don't know how they produce that much, but nowadays I think they're down to maybe a handful of shows, maybe 5 shows or so. But lots of fun stuff there at Pendant Audio. They have a ton of good stuff, good audio dramas. Yeah. So I think actually I might call it here. There's some other things that I need to work out, like how I get the headphone situation worked out so I don't have to wear 2 pairs of headphones in the booth. Maybe I'll do like earbuds, and I don't know. Anyways, I'll work on all that kind of stuff offline. I might call it here, a real short stream, just checking out some technicalities, and then might have 1 or 2 more test streams, and then we're going to have a schedule. I've got some authors' interests already. There's at least for sure definite one author that I'm going to read their first chapter here on the very first episode. So I'll definitely have to produce a schedule and have that up so they know, right, when that's going to be up. So I'll have that out here very soon. Thank you so much for watching Harside Gaming. I appreciate it. Thanks for helping me test out some stuff and letting me know if stuff was working. Dude, that helped me so much. Thank you. Another virtual high five for figuring out that audio issue. And yeah, I'll get back to you with hopefully a schedule. So in the future, I'll hopefully have more stuff here very soon. Yeah, more to come. There's so much stuff I just want to like spill the beans on, but I can't. So I should just end it right now before it gets to that point and I say something I shouldn't. But exciting stuff to follow. So anyways, I hope it is. But thank you again so much for listening in, and I'll hopefully see you next time. So thanks, man.